Hare Krishna. I will be doing Shuddhanam on behalf of Abhijit as well, because unfortunately he wasn't able to make it today. Shuddhanam, the Shuddhanam stage of chanting is the pure stage of chanting, and it's the stage of chanting that we all strive to reach. Shuddha means perfect, so in this stage of chanting we have the highest level of taste for chanting, which means that we wouldn't be able to stop chanting. Sometimes it's hard to develop taste. Sometimes when we're chanting our rounds, we're thinking, oh, I'd rather be doing something else. Chanting is very difficult because it's hard to focus our mind because our mind is very, very restless. So the reason for this is because of two reasons, ignorance and anarthas. And ignorance is divided into four types of ignorance. The first type is the ignorance of the nature of the holy name. Ignorance of the nature of the holy name makes it difficult to chant because if we're ignorant of how powerful the holy name is, and if we're ignorant of the fact that the holy name is Krishna, we won't be able to understand that by chanting we have to focus and devote our full attention. Because if we understand that the holy name is Krishna, we know that, okay, we're not dealing with an ordinary person, we're dealing with the Supreme Lord. So if we don't give our full attention, we're showing a small sign of disrespect. Ignorance of Krishna's position, as I was saying, the holy name is Krishna. And if we don't know who Krishna is, like if we don't know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we won't understand the power of the holy name, because the holy name is supposed to bring us closer to Krishna. Then, ignorance of one's own spiritual nature. So while chanting, we should be striving for something above the material plane. And if we don't understand that we are spirit souls and we don't come from this material world, we won't be able to understand that the mood in which we should be chanting, that we're actually servants of Krishna and that we don't belong in this material world. And ignorance of the qualities of material nature is very important because if we're ignorant of the qualities of material nature, we're very susceptible to Maya, and Maya can take us at any time. And the four modes of material nature can work together to try to stop us from perfectly chanting. But if we understand that we must be fully attentive and aware of our surroundings while chanting, then it'll be much, much more easy to chant. Anarthas are divided into three. Asat Trishna, Hridaya Daurbalya, and the propensity to commit offenses. Asat Trishna is the desire to attain unreal and temporary things. So chanting is supposed to take us above, and chanting, the amount of mercy that we get from Krishna is obviously permanent. It carries on into our next life. But whatever we get in the world in this life, like materially, is very, very temporary. So while chanting, we shouldn't be asking Krishna, oh, can I get a new car? Can I get more money? Can I get a raise? Or something like that. Because all of that is, if you could get something much, much more valuable, you better ask for something more valuable than ask for something more temporary and less valuable. Then there's Hridaya Daurbalya, which is weakness of the heart. So if we have weakness of the heart, it'll be very hard to chant because we won't be able to chant with the perfect mood in the service of Krishna. And the propensity to commit offenses, as previously in the slides we were talking about the 10 offenses. Committing the 10 offenses obviously prevents us from chanting perfectly. And if we continue to commit offenses, we won't be able to really take all of the nectar that the holy name has to offer for us. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes this in his instructions, and he talks about the mood in which we should chant and how we should chant. He displays this in the Shikshashtakam. He says, Trinadapi sunechena taroriva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. That we should be as tolerant as a straw on the street, as humble as a straw on the street and as tolerant as a tree. And that we should be ready to offer all respect to others. And in that mood, we'll be able to chant continuously. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, humility means to not be anxious to receive recognition and honor from others. And this is the idea of being like salt. Salt is able to give a lot of taste to food, but if we look like in rice and dal or something, we won't be able to see the salt inside. We won't be able to see the salt, although we understand that the salt is present because we're able to taste it. That's how we should be. We should serve Krishna, but we shouldn't do it with an attitude of, oh, I hope everyone understands that I'm doing this much service. Oh, look at me, I'm so good. But someone who's humble understands that it's not about the recognition, it's about whether we're pleasing Krishna or not. and this is stated in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Scholars define humility as when a person, even though possessing all good qualities, considers himself worthless and unintelligent. And this is shown by many acharyas in songs like Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes Amar Jivan. Although Bhaktivinoda Thakur is such an advanced devotee, he still says that, oh, all I do is commit offenses and cause anxiety to others. Bhaktivinoda Thakur advises 3 things for chanting. First is to associate with sadhus. Associating with sadhus is very important because all sadhus do is chant and worship Krishna. And if we associate with materialists do everything but chant and serve Krishna. So we won't be reminded of serving Krishna, obviously, if we're associating with people who don't serve Krishna. So if we associate with people who do serve Krishna, we'll constantly be thinking of Krishna. Oh, what can I do to make Krishna more happy? What can I do to improve my devotional service? Next is isolate from the disturbances of worldly life. Worldly life binds us to this material world, and if we're continuously attached to things in this material world, we won't be ready to leave and give up everything and surrender to Krishna. So it's very important to isolate ourselves from the disturbances of worldly life. And next is determination and steady enthusiasm. We must be determined to serve Krishna, because if we're not determined to serve Krishna, we obviously won't be able to serve Krishna. And steady enthusiasm is also important because we can't be enthusiastic today and tomorrow be like, oh, whatever, I chanted very good rounds yesterday. Today I don't really need to chant good rounds. I mean, yesterday's the rounds were so good that today, like, it must carry on. It's not like that. It's that we have to be enthusiastic every single day, and every single day we must strive to become better servants of Krishna. The Harinam and Chintamani and Bhajan Rahasya describe 5 steps on the path to pure devotional service, and obviously this comes as a result of chanting very good rounds. First is to avoid the 10 offenses. Avoiding the 10 offenses is important because obviously without avoiding the 10 offenses we won't be able to really serve Krishna completely. And the next step that comes is that we'll be able to meditate on the form of Krishna. And Krishna has a very beautiful form, as we can see here. And it's very nice to meditate on his form. Like, he's so beautiful. So if we meditate on Krishna's form, we'll become naturally inclined to remember the qualities of Krishna. Because when we look at Krishna, we're like, oh, he's very beautiful. He dresses in very nice clothes. He acts very nicely. And we'll be able to look at these things and we'll be able to remember all the things that Krishna did with all of these amazing features. And as that happens over time, we develop the habit of remembering Krishna's pastimes and it becomes natural. And then Nam Ras is reached. Nam Ras is reaching the stage of fully being able to absorb the nectar of the holy name. There are 3 rules to chanting effectively, and that's listen, listen, and listen. And that's because when we chant, we should be able to chant clearly enough that we're able to focus on the vibration of the holy name. And that's because the vibration is the medium through which we're able to actually attain a higher consciousness, I guess. Yeah, we're able to attain a higher consciousness that way, and that's how we make like progress. So like chanting in our mind isn't as like recommended as chanting out loud, because when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, we're able to hear ourselves and say, oh, Hare Krishna. We're able to hear the word Krishna, and when we hear the word Krishna, we're directly reminded, oh, Krishna. And then, yeah, we're able to make more and more progress. Prabhupada says, one must try for the point when he simply hears Krishna, his pastime, his form, his quality are in his thoughts. So right when we hear the word Krishna, we should be able to think, oh wow, he's this beautiful boy who had many pastimes in Vrindavan, he killed this many demons. And I mean, it's very nice because Krishna is the reservoir of all happiness. So naturally we'll become happy. And then there's Manasi Seva. Manasi Seva is being able to serve Krishna with our mind. So that comes only after a very advanced stage of chanting, in which like we're able to worshipping Krishna on an altar and everything. It doesn't require necessarily a lot of money, because not everyone has the financial like necessity. Like they don't have the financial resources to be able to worship Krishna lavishly. But Krishna is so merciful that he allows us to worship him with our mind. and simply offer him things with our mind. This is shown by Narasimhananda Brahmachari when he worships Krishna, when he worships Lord Chaitanya on his path to Vrindavan. With his mind, he's able to create a nice jeweled path for Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya accepts that devotional service. That's how merciful he is. This is also shown in Radha Krishna Pranamara, in which Narottam Das Thakur talks about, Radha and Krishna, I'm going to worship you in this way, I'm going to worship you in that way, and he says that through the song. Prabhupada says, you haven't got to make a very exalted throne for Krishna. You can imagine that. In my heart, I have now placed a diamond throne, and Krishna is sitting on it. That is accepted by Krishna. That's just Krishna's mercy, honestly. And conclusion, which is going to be